To open today's session and set the scene on linked data landscape, we are happy to welcome Ivo Velitchkov, who's an independent consultant, and he will take you, all of us, through this particular opening session. So Ivo, good afternoon, and thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon.
Hello. So over to you.
Thank you. This is the third time I have the pleasure of speaking at Indoors event. My second talk was about personal knowledge graphs at a follow-up webinar, and the first time was at the previous edition of the Indoors conference in March 2021. There I talked about the barriers to wider adoption of linked data and what can be done to improve that. And today's talk basically continues that theme. And if then my focus was on things such as the linked data solutions not being sufficiently friendly to both developers and end users, the main problem I want to address today is simpler to solve. It is about visibility. Now, when it comes to mainstream software solutions, especially from medium or large size vendors, the problem is rather the opposite. It is difficult not to notice them. They have well-functioning marketing machines, constantly improved by very smart people using hefty marketing budgets. With linked data solutions, that's not the case. They might be superior in important ways such as interoperability and explicit semantics, but they are difficult to find. You can have some sightings at conferences like this one, or if you dig deeper in GitHub. And I'm not talking about commercial ones. I'm talking about those built in-house or those that are open source. So basically, you would have this kind of comparison, and obviously they need some help. If you are looking for linked data, for example, if you look for data sets, then the obvious place to look at first would be the linked data cloud. And of course, there are hundreds of data sets that are not there, but if those that are there are not, even if those that are there are not up to date, but what's worse, the linked open data cloud is not itself a linked data publication. When looking for ontologies, the situation is way better. There are a few places, one of them quite popular, and it is itself a linked data publication. When looking for skills, there is nothing available as linked data, but with a lot of effort, something can be found on LinkedIn. And then when it comes to solutions, linked data solutions, there the situation is the worst. There is nothing, just simply nothing. There are exceptions. A notable one is the linked data platform of Netherlands. Quite a good example. I hope it will be followed by other countries. But of course, it is local. It is only about linked data solutions, skills, and data sets from the Netherlands. It's not global. So if you would like to start closing the gap, the logical place to start would be where there is nothing, and that's the bottom of this table, solutions. And so this is how this project was initiated, to create a catalog of linked data solutions. This is a project of Publications Office, and more particularly data.europa.eu. The first place to start is, of course, to have an ontology to see what kind of properties and classes we would like to have. And we created one, quite simple, yet it had the sufficient minimum that we would like to maintain, mainly reusing properties and classes from other ontologies. And that is, of course, DCAT, FOF, Dublin Core, and importantly, the solution description ontology, SDO. Then the next step was to see what kind of reference data can be used, and if it's not available to initiate creating what's missing. So we reused data theme, nuts, language, and others, but there were a few that were missing, so we initiated new named authority lists, and this is how now officially we have the data service type, product status, where you can define if the current solution is, let's say, in MVP phased out or as a prototype. And another list that is also reused now by other organizations, that is the semantic technology table. So after having the ontology and the reference data, the next was, of course, to have a data acquisition tool. And after comparing a few nominated options, which had to be open source and so on, we selected the EU knowledge graph. This is an instance of Wikibase that is controlled by DG Connect, the European Commission, and it has a few features additional that are not available in other instances of Wikibase. So we had to configure that to fit the ontology, and we have now the initial data set. So what kind of benefits this brings? The most obvious benefit is the support for linked data business cases. So you have a business case and you propose linked data solution, and of course you're asked, where is something like this working? Is it reliable, scalable, and so on? Then it's really important to have access to such references. The next benefit is to be able to find solutions and components to reuse. And for that reason, we give priority to open source solutions and solutions provided by the public sector organizations. Then if you find an interesting solution in the catalog, it is a solution to a particular problem, you can reach out and learn more. Another benefit is discovering and exploring data services. Of course, that was something also that was missing in the table that I showed you with data ontologies and solutions. But I'll talk a bit more later. And last but not least is building a community, which comes with a bunch of additional benefits. So just a simple example, not directly related to linked data solution, but something next to it, which is data services. So if you're looking for Sparkle endpoints, for example, and you try Google first, until a couple of years ago, the situation was really bad. There was nothing. Now it improved, but still what you can find is just a few lists coming from Wikidata and other sources. Of course, they're outdated, incomplete, and so on. If you try ChatGPT, I tried in December once, and I got about 10. Then last week, the situation was better. It reached almost 50. And having a catalog, then it would give something different. You would have an exact list of working Sparkle endpoints. And what is more, in this case, you'd also have an automatic information about the number of triples that will be served by these Sparkle endpoints. So this was not so much of a presentation, but I would like to be seen as an invitation, because this can only succeed if you join the effort, either by sharing your solutions, or if you know of these solutions, or if you're contributing to these solutions, adding it directly, that would be best, or just sending information about it that you can find on this link. And the rest will be time for questions. Thank you.
Ivo, thank you very much. We have received indeed one question so far, and I'm sure there's more in the pipeline, so I hope we have time to go through them. But the question is, what is the use context of linked data solution ontology, and where will it be available?
First and foremost, the solution ontology is currently giving the shape of the catalog, the way properties and classes are structured. Since it is using the Wikibase, it is recreated there because it has its own model. But this year it will appear as a data set in data.europa.eu using the actual ontology. And in addition, this ontology will be also officially published. When it could be also used, there will be also associated shackle shape with it. It can be used that people describe and host their own catalogs and share in different ways these descriptions.
Thank you. And could you explain the pros and cons that led to choosing Wikibase?
Yeah, certainly. So basically, I'll start with the cons. The two obvious cons is that Wikibase cannot actually use external ontology, it cannot import it, that it would give the right properties and classes. You have to create using their own model. The other con is that it cannot, based on the schema you gave, you cannot create a ready web form that you can start filling in. So it's not so user-friendly in this sense. It does not support shackle. In terms of pros, the way the fact that it is a full stack, ready available, maintained by the European Commission, well tested for many years, scalable with the whole stack for entering, for querying, and for automatic uploading of bulk uploading of data, as well as the whole interface, and now the integration with EU Learn. All this made it as just made it something to be selected because these benefits were overcoming the negative sides. The runner-ups to this selection, they had the ability to use the ontology, to use shackle shape, but they had many other issues. They were not mature enough to be used reliably for this task.
Thank you very much, Ivo, and thank you for being with us this afternoon and answering the questions. Thanks. Bye-bye.